The day of the launch felt heavy with excitement, even inside the quiet halls of the space station where the new ship waited. The Aegis stood like a giant silver blade, shining under the white lights, its surface smooth and perfect. Engineers, pilots, and scientists moved around it with pride in their hearts. They had worked for years to build something so advanced, something that could carry humans deeper into space than ever before. Now the time had finally come to test it. Captain Rian Hale walked slowly across the docking bridge, taking in every detail of the ship. He had seen drawings, simulations, and test models, but none of them compared to the real thing. The Aegis looked alive in a strange way, as if the metal itself understood its purpose. Rian paused before the entrance and placed his hand on the cool surface. He knew the crew was watching him from inside, but he wanted a moment alone with the ship. He whispered softly, almost as if speaking to a living being, that he hoped it would carry them safely. When he stepped inside, the doors closed behind him with a smooth hiss. The interior was bright and silent. Everything was clean, controlled, and perfect. The crew had gathered in the main hall to greet him. There was Mira, the chief engineer, who had personally overseen half the ship's construction. There was Dr. Arlen, the ship's scientist whose curiosity often pushed him into trouble. There was Jace, a young pilot full of energy but always respectful. And there was also the ship's AI, Orion, whose blue light pulsed softly in the center of the room. Orion greeted him with a calm voice that sounded warm even though it was artificial. The captain welcomed everyone aboard and gave a short speech. He told them that today was not just a test flight. It was the beginning of something much bigger. Humans had reached far into space before, but the Aegis was designed to go even farther, to explore unknown regions, to learn new things, and maybe even to discover life. The team listened quietly, some smiling, some nervous, all proud to be here. The ship undocked from the station smoothly, without a single shake. Orion guided it through the first steps of its journey, checking every system and reporting that everything was functioning perfectly. The engines hummed softly, almost like music. Through the wide viewing windows, stars drifted by like endless diamonds. Even the most experienced crew members felt a strange thrill at the sight. It was their first time moving through space in a ship this advanced, and it felt like flying inside a dream. The early hours of the test went smoothly. They activated propulsion, shields, scanners, communication systems, and emergency protocols. Every test came back clean. The Aegis performed better than expected. The crew relaxed, talking quietly as they monitored the panels. Mira kept running her hands along the controls, as if touching the ship gave her peace. Dr. Arlen stared out the window, thinking about what new things they might discover soon. Jace kept smiling at the controls, excited to push the engines to full power one day. But then, something unexpected happened. Orion's voice broke the calm atmosphere with a tone that held a hint of concern. The AI reported that it was detecting an unknown signal. At first, the crew assumed it was a leftover echo from a nearby satellite or an old beacon. But when the signal repeated again, stronger this time, everyone turned toward the captain. Rian ordered Orion to play it. The sound filled the room. A slow, rhythmic pulse, almost like a heartbeat. It was faint and old, but it did not match any known human frequencies. Dr. Arlen leaned closer, his eyes wide with interest. Mira frowned, already wondering what kind of technology could produce such a strange sound. Even Jace stopped smiling. The crew asked Orion if the beacon was registered anywhere in their maps. The AI paused for several seconds, longer than usual, checking all human databases. When it answered, the room fell silent. There was no record of the beacon, no map, no log, no old archives. Whatever the signal came from, it had never been documented before. This shocked the crew because the region of space they were in was well mapped by previous explorers. There should have been nothing unknown here, nothing hidden. Yet the signal kept pulsing steadily, calling to them like a distant whisper. The captain thought carefully. The Aegis had been launched for testing, not exploration. They were supposed to follow a strict path and return after verifying all systems, but he also understood that discoveries often happened when least expected. A beacon with no record could mean something new, something valuable. It could be a sign of old technology, or a forgotten ship, or even evidence of a civilization no one knew existed. The idea sent a strange spark through his chest. He asked Orion to determine the location of the signal. The AI projected a map into the air. The beacon was coming from the edge of an uncharted sector, a place humans rarely visited because of gravitational distortions. It was risky, but not impossibly dangerous. Mira looked at the captain, unsure if he would take such a chance. "Doctor," Arlen silently hoped he would. Jace bit his lip, excited and nervous at the same time. After a long moment, Rian made his decision. He told the crew they would alter their course and investigate the beacon. This was the first mission of the Aegis, a ship built to explore, and he believed it was right to follow anything that might lead to new knowledge. The crew nodded. No one protested. They trusted him. The engines shifted as the ship changed direction. Orion guided them carefully, keeping a close watch on gravitational fluctuations. The lights dimmed slightly as the ship entered a darker region of space, where stars were fewer and the emptiness felt heavier. The crew members returned to their stations, feeling the tension rise. Hours passed as they moved deeper into the uncharted area. The beacon's signal grew stronger, but the space around them became stranger. Small gravitational waves caused gentle tremors across the ship. Sensors picked up faint clouds of dust and gas drifting like silent ghosts. The ship's hull groaned softly at rare moments, as if responding to invisible pressure. Mira monitored the engineering panels with full focus. She did not like the distortions, but she trusted the ship she had helped build. "Doctor," Arlen recorded every new piece of data, already imagining the scientific reports he would write. Jace kept adjusting the controls under Orion's guidance, doing his best to keep the flight smooth. Ryan walked slowly across the bridge, watching each of them, making sure no one felt overwhelmed. Suddenly, the signal changed. It became faster, almost urgent. Orion reported that they were approaching its source. The captain ordered the window's protective shields to open. The dark space ahead revealed a faint shape in the distance. At first it was nothing more than a shadow. But as they drew closer, the structure became clear. Floating in the silent emptiness was a strange beacon tower. It was unlike anything the humans had ever constructed. It looked ancient, covered in dark metal with patterns that twisted in unfamiliar shapes. Parts of it glowed dimly, as if powered by a failing energy source. It rotated slowly, as quiet as a dream, sending out the repeating signal. The crew stared at it with wide eyes. Mira whispered that the material did not match any known alloy. Dr. Arlen was already shaking with excitement, trying to analyze every detail he could see. Jace swallowed hard, amazed but uneasy. Orion reported that the beacon emitted no signs of life, no movement besides the soft turning of its structure. The captain ordered the ship to approach carefully. As they moved closer, the beacon's glow grew brighter, illuminating the edges of the Aegis. The strange patterns on the surface of the structure seemed to shift, almost like flowing symbols. No one could tell if it was natural, mechanical, or something else entirely. Rian felt a chill in his chest. He had seen many things in space, but nothing like this. Something about the beacon felt old, older than any human record. There was a sense of mystery in the air, the kind that made explorers feel both fear and hope. Orion began scanning the structure, trying to understand its purpose. The scans revealed layers inside the beacon, hollow chambers, broken wires, and a core that still emitted faint energy. The technology was complex, using principles humans could not easily identify. Dr. Arlen almost could not stop himself from asking if they could take samples, but the captain reminded him that safety came first. For a moment, everyone was silent as they observed the beacon. It floated alone, isolated in the empty space, as if waiting for someone to find it. The more they watched, the more they felt that they had stumbled upon something important. But then something unexpected happened again. The Aegis's lights flickered. The engines hummed louder for a second, before returning to normal. Orion reported that the ship had just experienced a brief interference from an unknown source. Mira immediately checked the systems, her heart racing. The captain ordered full diagnostic scans. The crew felt the tension rising again. They knew that this beacon was not just old, it was active enough to affect their ship. That meant there was more to it than simple abandoned technology. Rion instructed Orion to keep a safe distance while continuing the scan. The ship steadied itself, engines running slow, shields glowing gently. The beacon rotated quietly, almost as if watching them in return. The hours that followed were filled with careful analysis. Orion studied signal patterns. Mira checked the engines for any damage. Dr. Arlen reviewed the strange designs on the beacon's surface, trying to guess their meaning. The captain observed everything, thinking about the next steps. The crew did not feel bored or tired. The mystery kept their minds sharp and their hearts awake. This was what they had trained for. This was why they had joined the mission, to discover something unknown, something that could change their understanding of space. As the ship drifted near the beacon, Rian felt a growing sense of responsibility. Whatever this structure was, it had been waiting here for a long time. And now, humanity was the first to find it. He wondered whether this was a message, a warning, or simply a forgotten piece of history from another life form. But he also knew this was only the beginning. He looked at his crew. Each one of them had the same spark in their eyes. They were ready to uncover the truth, ready to face whatever came next. The Aegis hummed softly, its system steady, as if prepared for the next chapter. And deep inside the darkness of space, the beacon pulsed again and again, calling them forward into a mystery that would change the course of their mission and their lives forever. The Aegis floated silently in the cold darkness of space, its hull reflecting the faint glow of distant stars. The crew had spent hours observing the strange beacon, and curiosity was growing stronger with every passing moment. The signal it emitted was steady, almost like a heartbeat. But the source was far from ordinary. Captain Rian Hale stood on the bridge, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the holographic map Orion had projected. The map showed the beacon in detail, along with layers of unknown structures around it. It was complicated, mysterious, and unlike anything human technology had ever produced. Dr. Arlen leaned forward, his fingers moving over the holographic controls as he zoomed in on the beacon's inner chambers. "These patterns," he whispered, almost to himself. "They're not random. There's a design, a logic behind them. Whoever or whatever built this had intelligence far beyond ours." Mira adjusted the ship's sensors to scan for more details. The Aegis was equipped with experimental technology designed to study unknown materials. But even its advanced systems struggled with the beacon's composition. The metal was unlike anything documented. It was hard and dark, yet it seemed to absorb light in certain areas while reflecting it in others. Small pulses of energy moved along its surface, like veins carrying life, though no life existed within. Jace, sitting in the pilot's chair, tapped his fingers on the console nervously. "Do you think it's safe to get closer?" he asked, glancing at the captain. "It doesn't seem abandoned." Rian turned slowly, eyes scanning the young pilot's worried face. He understood the fear in the question. The beacon was mysterious, its origin unknown, and yet here it was, calling humanity forward. "We proceed carefully," he said firmly. "We're explorers, not conquerors. Our job is to observe and understand, nothing more. But we go closer. Yes, that's why we are here." Orion's calm voice interrupted. "Captain, I am detecting low-level energy fluctuations within the structure. They are not harmful at this distance, but the pattern suggests some form of internal mechanism. I recommend maintaining caution." The captain nodded. "Understood, Orion. Keep monitoring. Everyone, stay alert." As the Aegis moved forward, the beacon grew larger through the viewing windows. Its size was impressive, taller than any building on Earth. Yet delicate in its form, the patterns along its surface twisted and changed, as if responding to the ship's approach. Dr. Arlen's fascination was evident. He could barely tear his eyes away from the screens. "Look at that," he whispered. "It's almost like it's alive. But aware. The way it moves, the way it shifts when we scan it, it's reacting." Mira frowned. "Be careful, Arlen. We don't know what kind of defense systems it could have. If it is intelligent, it could be dangerous." Despite the caution, the crew could not ignore the pull of discovery. Curiosity ran deep in humans, and the Aegis represented the best of what humanity could achieve. The ship had been built for moments like this. To enter the unknown. To face the mysteries that lay beyond the edges of familiar space. The captain ordered the ship to move into a closer orbit around the beacon. Its rotation slowed slightly as if acknowledging the Aegis's presence. Orion reported minor interference with the ship's instruments, but nothing critical. Still, the crew remained tense. Then, the beacon emitted a pulse of light that traveled toward the ship. It was not violent, not dangerous, but it felt deliberate, almost like a signal directed at them. The lights in the bridge reflected on the crew's faces as they watched the pulse. Jace instinctively reached for the controls, ready to pull the ship back, but Rian held up a hand. "Observe first," the captain instructed. "We do not act out of fear. We learn first. That is what explorers do. We do not act out of fear. 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 We learn first." The pulse returned again, this time followed by another, and then another. They formed a pattern. Dr. Arlen's eyes widened. "It's a code," he said. "A repeating sequence. I can't translate it yet, but it's definitely a message." Orion's light flickered as it analyzed the signal. "Captain, the pattern does not match any known human or automated code. I can attempt decryption, but it may take some time." Rian nodded. "Do it. Mira, keep monitoring our shields and engines. Jace, maintain orbit. We proceed carefully, but we proceed." Hours passed as the Aegis maintained its cautious orbit. Orion worked tirelessly on the code, while Dr. Arlen tried to understand the patterns he could see on the beacon's surface. Mira checked the ship's systems repeatedly, making sure everything remained stable. Even Jace, who had been eager for action, found himself absorbed in the mysterious presence before them. As night fell on the ship's internal time system, Orion finally spoke. "Captain, preliminary translation indicates that the beacon contains star charts, messages, and what appears to be warnings. The charts show regions of space previously undocumented by human surveys. The messages suggest that the creators were attempting to guide or protect travelers in this sector." The bridge fell silent. The crew exchanged looks filled with wonder and cautious excitement. Humans had long sought signs of other civilizations in space, but this was the first undeniable proof they had discovered something beyond themselves. Dr. Arlen spoke first, his voice trembling slightly. "This could change everything. These charts, they could guide humanity to worlds we didn't even know existed. Habitable planets, resources, safe passages. The possibilities are endless." Mira's brow furrowed. "And what about the warnings? Orion, what do they say?" Orion's voice remained calm, almost unnervingly so. "The warnings are vague. They speak of dangers, unspecified threats that once destroyed the Creator's civilization. The messages caution travelers to be careful when activating or approaching certain energy sources." Jace leaned back in his chair, unease crossing his face. "So we're following instructions left by a dead civilization, and they're warning us about something unknown. That doesn't exactly make me feel safer." Rian nodded. He understood the fear. "I won't lie. We are taking a risk. But the risk is worth it. Every discovery humans have made in space has involved danger. We proceed, but with caution and intelligence. That's what makes us human. That's why we explore." The crew returned to their stations, a renewed sense of purpose settling over them. They were not merely observers now. They were participants in a story that had begun long before humans existed, a story of intelligence, curiosity, and survival. The Aegis was their vessel into this narrative, and the beacon had chosen them as its audience. The next stage of their investigation involved closer analysis of the beacon's surface. The crew deployed specialized scanning drones, small and fast, designed to approach objects too dangerous for the ship itself. The drones moved silently into the shadows of the beacon, their sensors transmitting streams of data back to the Aegis. The images revealed more complexity. Layers of metal twisted around internal chambers, some broken, some intact. Symbols etched into the surfaces resembled nothing known to human linguistics. They were intricate, precise, and clearly intentional. Every angle suggested intelligence. Dr. Arlen nearly fell from his seat with excitement as he observed the details. "It's beautiful," he whispered. "The geometry, the symmetry, it's perfect. Whoever made this, they thought differently than we do. They saw space in a way we can barely imagine." Mira focused on the physical risks. "And it's dangerous. The structure is unstable. Touch it, and we could trigger something we don't understand." The crew spent the next several hours cross-checking all data. Orion warned them about minor energy spikes, tiny bursts that seemed to move along the surface. They didn't harm the ship, but their presence suggested that the beacon was still active, still alive in some way. Then the beacon pulsed again, brighter this time. A beam of light extended into space, directly at the Aegis. It did not strike the ship violently, but the energy interacted with the shields in a way that caused a minor surge. Mira quickly adjusted the systems, stabilizing the ship. The crew realized that the beacon was not just a relic. It was monitoring them. It had been waiting. And now, it had found them. The message became clearer as Orion worked to translate more of the code embedded in the beacon. Symbols rearranged themselves into patterns, sequences that suggested instructions, pathways, and even coordinates. They seemed to guide travelers to something larger, something hidden. Dr. Arlen's excitement could not be contained. "Captain, this is incredible. We are being shown the way to something extraordinary. This isn't just a warning, it's a guide. Whoever built this wanted someone to find it, to continue their work or knowledge." Rian felt the weight of responsibility. This was more than a test flight now. It was the beginning of humanity's first real step into an uncharted part of the galaxy. They had the choice to turn back, to report what they found, or to follow the path the beacon had set. The pull of exploration, the human drive for knowledge, was too strong. "Orion," he said, "prepare a full course adjustment. We follow the coordinates the beacon provides. Slowly, carefully, but we go forward." The ship responded smoothly, engines humming as it adjusted its path. The crew held their breath as the stars shifted outside the windows. They were leaving familiar space, moving into the unknown. The excitement, fear, and wonder blended into a single, powerful feeling. They were explorers, humans who had built a ship capable of taking them beyond what anyone had imagined. And now they were following the call of a civilization long gone. As they moved closer to the designated coordinates, small, strange gravitational anomalies began to appear. The ship swayed gently as Orion adjusted for the fluctuations. The beacon's influence seemed to extend far beyond its immediate location. Every pulse, every signal, affected the environment around it. The crew realized that this was not simply a device. It was part of something much larger. Hours stretched into days, sleep was minimal, and the crew worked in shifts, monitoring systems, translating signals, and keeping the Aegis on course. The closer they got, the more the beacon seemed to respond, almost as if it could sense their arrival. Then, at the edge of the uncharted sector, a massive structure loomed into view. It was unlike anything the humans had ever seen. Towering shapes rose from a massive base, partially hidden by a swirling nebula of dust and gas. It was clear now that the beacon had been a guide all along, pointing to this hidden place, something extraordinary waiting in the darkness of space. Captain Rian looked at his crew. Every face reflected awe, fear, and excitement. They were on the verge of discovery. Humanity had never seen anything like this. Whatever awaited them beyond the nebula could change everything. The beacon had led them here. And now they were about to find out why. The Aegis moved forward slowly, cautiously, toward the massive, ancient structure. The pulse of the beacon continued, steady, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat guiding them onward. And for the first time, the crew understood the full meaning of the mission. They were not just observing history, they were about to become a part of it. The Aegis moved slowly through the nebula, its engines adjusting to the strange gravitational currents that twisted and turned unpredictably around the massive structure ahead. The crew remained at their stations, every eye fixed on the viewing windows, every hand ready at a console. Captain Rian Hale felt a mix of pride and tension. They had followed the beacon's call. And now the truth of what lay ahead was slowly revealing itself. The structure was immense, built on a scale that human imagination had not yet fully grasped. Its surface shimmered with dark metal that seemed almost liquid in its reflections, and strange geometric patterns ran across it in ways that challenged the eye. Dr. Arlen leaned forward, unable to contain his fascination. "It's incredible," he whispered. "The technology. It's so advanced. Look at the scale of it." They weren't just builders, they were visionaries. Whatever this place is, it was meant to last forever. Mira, however, kept her eyes on the instruments. Visionaries or not, it's a hazard. The gravitational fields are unstable. The structure may be active, and we don't know what we're approaching. Stay sharp, everyone. Jace's hands were steady, but his jaw was tight. He had flown through countless simulations, but nothing could prepare a pilot for this. The nebula's swirling clouds made it difficult to judge distances. The Aegis had to maneuver carefully, guided by Orion's calculations. The AI's voice remained calm, precise, almost unnervingly confident. "Captain, I recommend reducing speed by 20%. Gravitational variance is increasing ahead." Rian nodded. "Do it. Keep a close watch on all systems." The ship slowed, drifting gently toward the alien structure. The closer they got, the more details emerged. Towers rose from a massive central hub, spiraling in impossible angles. Bridges and walkways stretched between the towers, many broken and floating loose in the vacuum. Faint pulses of energy traveled along conduits that seemed alive, moving in patterns that suggested some long-forgotten purpose. The Aegis's sensors struggled to keep up with the complexity. Suddenly, a series of blinding lights erupted from the structure. The crew gasped as the lights traced across the surface, moving with a speed and precision that was impossible to predict. Orion immediately activated the ship's defensive shields. Energy surge detected. The source is internal to the structure. It appears automated, the AI reported. Mira's fingers flew over the console. Shields holding, but these pulses are strong. We need to analyze them carefully. We can't risk damage to the hull. Rian's eyes narrowed. "Are they hostile?" he asked. Orion's calm tone betrayed no certainty. "Unknown. The pulses are defensive in nature. They appear to track movement, but do not directly attack unless the ship comes too close." The captain made a decision. "We proceed, slowly. We observe, but we do not provoke." As the Aegis drifted closer, the pulses grew more complex, moving along patterns that seemed almost like a language. Dr. Arlen's excitement was evident. "It's communication," he exclaimed. "Or at least, it could be. They are responding to our presence. This is incredible. The structure is intelligent." Mira frowned. "Intelligent or not, it's dangerous. I don't like it tracking us like that." The ship's sensors picked up an anomaly within the structure. A chamber deep inside that seemed to emit a different type of energy. One that did not match the pulses. Orion highlighted it on the main screen. "Captain, this chamber is isolated. Energy readings suggest it contains the core of the structure. If we can reach it, we might understand the purpose of the beacon." Rian made his decision. "Set a course." We approach the chamber. Slowly. Full shields up, engines on minimal thrust. We stay in control at all times. The crew worked in quiet coordination. Every movement was deliberate. The Aegis glided toward the structure's massive core, dodging floating debris and unpredictable gravitational currents. The ship's hull creaked under the strain, but it held. Orion constantly adjusted the trajectory, predicting the shifts in the structure's rotation. Then the unexpected happened. Small drones, previously undetected, shot out from the structure and moved toward the Aegis. They were sleek, metallic, and faster than anything the crew had ever seen. Their design suggested advanced engineering, far beyond human capabilities. Their purpose was clear. They were defensive. "Evasive maneuvers," Rian commanded, gripping the console tightly. Jace reacted instantly, pulling the ship in a sharp curve as the drones zipped past. The Aegis's shields flared as the drones fired energy pulses, each one harmless alone, but enough to test the ship's defenses. Mira monitored the hull's integrity while adjusting the shields for maximum coverage. Orion analyzed the drones. They are autonomous, programmed to attack any approaching vessel. Their weapons are weak individually, but in groups, they are dangerous. "I recommend countermeasures." Dr. Arlen, shaking with a mixture of fear and excitement, spoke up. "Captain, if we disable the drones, we can safely access the core. This is our chance to understand their civilization." Rian nodded. "Agreed. Orion, activate defensive countermeasures. Jace, keep us mobile." The crew worked in perfect coordination. The Aegis deployed small energy pulses to disrupt the drone's navigation. Several drones were knocked off course, spinning harmlessly into the vacuum. The rest attempted to regroup, but the ship's maneuverability allowed them to stay ahead. After several tense minutes, the drones retreated, returning to the structure. Breathing heavily, the crew relaxed slightly. "That was too close," Jace muttered. "Those things were fast." Mira's eyes narrowed. "And they're not done. We need to stay alert. I don't trust this place." The captain studied the core chamber. "We move on. The risk is part of discovery. That's why we're here." The Aegis glided toward the chamber. Its surface was lined with conduits of energy, moving in mesmerizing patterns. Orion's sensors indicated that the energy was a form of data storage, a network of information encoded in ways the crew had never seen. Dr. Arlen's hands shook as he watched the readings. "This is a library," he said softly. "Not books, not screens, but energy patterns. Knowledge stored in a way we can barely comprehend. If we can access it, we might learn everything about this civilization, their technology, their history, even their mistakes." Mira adjusted the ship's scanners, ensuring that the Aegis remained at a safe distance. "And we might also trigger more drones," she added, her voice tense. "Don't get too excited." As they approached the chamber, the beacon pulsed again, sending a wave of light toward the ship. The Aegis's shields absorbed the pulse, but the energy pattern seemed deliberate, almost like an invitation. Orion interpreted it as a connection attempt. "Captain, the beacon appears to be communicating with us directly. It is responding to our presence near the core." Rian felt a thrill. "Prepare to interface. Dr. Arlen, see if you can link to the data network. But be careful. One wrong move, and we could lose everything." Dr. Arlen activated a specialized probe designed to interface with unknown technology. The probe extended toward the energy core, its sensors delicately adjusting to the alien signals. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a sudden surge of information flooded the ship. Images, symbols, star maps, and data streams appeared on every screen. The crew watched in awe as the story of a lost civilization unfolded before them. This is unbelievable," Dr. Arlen whispered. "They recorded everything. Their worlds, their science, their journeys. It's all here. And their warnings. They faced a predator, something vast and dangerous that destroyed them. That's what the beacon was warning about." Mira frowned. "A predator? Out here? In space? We need to be ready. If it's still out there, we're not alone." Orion's calm voice confirmed her fear. Captain, I'm detecting energy signatures in surrounding sectors that could match the description of the predator mentioned in the data. Its proximity is unknown, but caution is advised. The captain nodded. We stay alert. We continue to gather information, but no risks beyond what is necessary. The crew spent hours decoding and analyzing the information. The core's network revealed advanced technologies, including energy sources humans had never dreamed of, navigation methods capable of reaching distant galaxies, and knowledge of other civilizations. The Aegis itself had become part of the network, receiving updates and processing instructions that extended far beyond human understanding. Then, a subtle warning appeared within the data. Coordinates marked in red. Locations the original civilization had deemed dangerous. Dr. Arlen studied them carefully. These are the predator's hunting grounds, he said softly. They were destroyed, trying to escape it. The beacon warned travelers to avoid these areas. Jace swallowed hard. So, if we follow this, we could run into it too? Rian's expression was firm. Possibly, but knowledge is worth the risk. We proceed cautiously. We have shields, weapons, and Orion. We are prepared to survive. The beacon pulsed again, brighter than ever, as if acknowledging their understanding. The ship's crew felt a mixture of triumph and fear. They had uncovered the truth of the lost civilization, but they also understood the danger that still lingered in the darkness of space. As the Aegis prepared to leave the immediate area of the core, a sudden movement caught their attention. Part of the structure shifted, revealing a hidden passage, large enough for a ship to enter. Orion analyzed it. Captain, this could be an inner chamber, a repository of knowledge or technology. Entry may be risky, but it could contain valuable resources or information. Rian turned to his crew. We go in and follow my orders. This is why we are here, to explore, to learn, to survive. The Aegis moved toward the hidden passage. Its shields flared slightly as it passed through residual energy fields. The structure around them groaned subtly, as if aware of their presence. Inside, the passage opened into a massive chamber, filled with hovering energy spheres, holographic displays, and data conduits. The crew's eyes widened. Dr. Arlen's voice shook with excitement. This is the heart of their civilization's knowledge. Every discovery, every lesson, every invention, all here. We are witnessing history preserved in the stars. Mira kept scanning for danger. And if the predator is still around, we could be walking straight into it. Jace tightened his grip on the controls. I don't like this, but it's incredible. The captain took a deep breath. We proceed, but carefully. Humanity has come this far through intelligence, courage, and teamwork. That will not change now. The Aegis drifted further into the chamber, guided by Orion, with the crew prepared for whatever lay ahead. They were explorers, human beings facing unknown dangers, and the beacon had shown them a path filled with knowledge, peril, and opportunity. The journey was far from over, but the crew of the Aegis was ready to face it, together. The Aegis floated quietly inside the massive chamber, its hull reflecting the soft glow of alien energy spheres that hovered in the air. Every crew member was at their station, watching, analyzing, and trying to take in the sheer scale of what they had discovered. Captain Rian Hale could feel the tension in the room, the mixture of excitement and unease that came with exploring the unknown. This was no longer a simple test mission. They had uncovered the heart of an ancient civilization and had to proceed with care. Dr. Arlen's eyes shone with fascination as he studied the holographic displays projected from the energy spheres. This is beyond anything humanity has ever seen, he said softly. Every invention, every lesson, every warning, all preserved here. We have a chance to learn things that could change the course of our species. Mira adjusted the ship's scanners, ensuring that nothing escaped their attention. It's amazing, Arlen, she said, but we also have to remember why this civilization failed. They faced dangers we do not fully understand. We need to be careful and make sure history doesn't repeat itself. Jace sat at the helm, gripping the controls tightly, his eyes scanning the chamber. "I don't like the feeling of being watched," he muttered. "Something about this place feels alive. Even if it's not alive." Orion's calm voice cut through the tension. "Captain, preliminary analysis suggests the structure's energy network is semi-intelligent. It is capable of monitoring and reacting to our presence. Threat assessment remains low, but caution is advised." Rian nodded. "Keep us stable, Orion. Everyone, stay alert and follow the protocols." We proceed slowly, but we move forward. Humanity did not survive by fearing the unknown. We survive by understanding it. The crew worked in seamless coordination as the Aegis advanced toward the central sphere, which seemed to contain the largest concentration of energy and information. As they approached, the sphere pulsed, projecting a sequence of lights that formed intricate geometric patterns. Dr. Arlen studied them quickly. "It's a message," he whispered. "Not words, not language, but instructions. Directions to use the technology safely." Mira frowned. "Instructions? Or warnings disguised as directions? Either way, we have to follow them exactly. One mistake, and the system could become hostile." The captain's eyes narrowed as he observed the patterns. "Orion, integrate the instructions into the ship's navigation and energy systems. Let's see if we can safely connect with the core." The AI hummed softly, and lines of energy from the sphere linked with the ship's systems. Screens lit up with new data streams, new calculations, and new capabilities. The Aegis seemed to become part of the chamber itself, learning from the alien technology while remaining under human control. For hours, the crew worked tirelessly. Dr. Arlen analyzed the data, uncovering energy sources capable of powering colonies for centuries. He studied navigation methods that allowed for faster, more efficient travel between distant star systems. Mira integrated parts of the alien design into the ship's shields and propulsion systems, enhancing the Aegis's capabilities. Jace tested the adjustments, feeling the ship respond with a fluidity he had never experienced before. Then, a sudden warning appeared within the data streams. Coordinates marked in red glowed ominously. Orion translated the message. "Captain, these locations are identified as dangerous zones. The creators of this structure were destroyed by an entity referred to as the Predator. Its exact nature is unknown, but it hunted civilizations relentlessly. The red zones are its known territories." Rian's expression was serious. "We knew this might be a possibility. Stay alert. We learn as much as we can here, then prepare to leave. Humanity does not need to provoke a predator. But knowledge is worth caution." The crew nodded, their determination unwavering. They had come too far to leave empty-handed. The Aegis drifted carefully through the chamber, collecting information and absorbing the lessons of the lost civilization. Every discovery brought new hope and new responsibility. Hours turned into days as they analyzed the data. The chamber contained maps to habitable planets, star routes free from dangerous gravitational anomalies, and schematics for energy technology far beyond anything humanity had achieved. The crew realized they had the chance to advance human civilization by centuries if they could safely transport the knowledge back home. Suddenly, alarms blared. Orion's voice was calm but urgent. "Captain, sensors indicate the Predator's presence nearby. It is approaching the sector." Jace's eyes widened. "It's here? Already?" Mira gripped her console tightly. "How close? How fast?" Orion responded, "Distance unknown. Energy readings suggest immense size and power. Its trajectory may intersect ours if we remain in the sector too long." Rian took a deep breath. "We have what we came for. Prepare to leave, but do it carefully. Orion, plot an escape course using the coordinates the beacon provided. We stay within the safe zones and avoid the Predator's paths." The Aegis moved slowly out of the chamber, its newly enhanced systems adjusting to the changes in energy and gravitational fields. The Predator's presence made the air, or rather, the vacuum, feel heavy. The crew felt a collective tension, knowing that any misstep could be catastrophic. Dr. Arlen continued to analyze the remaining data. Captain, if we combine this technology with our own, we can not only survive but thrive. We can avoid the Predator, expand humanity's reach in the galaxy, and preserve knowledge for future generations. Mira nodded. Then let's make sure we get home first. We can't implement any of this if the ship doesn't survive. Jace adjusted the engines, guiding the Aegis along the escape route Orion calculated. The ship moved with surprising agility, thanks to the enhancements derived from the alien technology. The Predator's energy signatures appeared intermittently on the sensors, reminding them of the danger that lingered nearby. Hours passed as they navigated the perilous sector. Small energy pulses occasionally brushed against the ship, testing their defenses. Each time, the shields held, and the Aegis moved on, demonstrating the crew's skill and the effectiveness of their new systems. Then, the Predator appeared. Not directly, but in the sensor readings, a massive energy signature moving through space with terrifying speed and intent. It was unlike anything the crew had seen before. Its scale was unimaginable, its presence felt rather than seen. Orion's analysis suggested that it could destroy the Aegis with minimal effort if it chose to. Rian's voice was calm, but his eyes were sharp. Keep to the course, everyone. Don't panic. Remember your training and your intelligence. We survive because we think, not because we fight blindly. Mira adjusted the shields, reinforcing them with the alien enhancements. We have a chance, she said softly. But we must be precise. One wrong move and it's over. Dr. Arlen studied the Predator's energy signature. It's scanning, trying to predict our moves. But it's not familiar with human ingenuity. That is our advantage. The Aegis moved forward, weaving through gravitational anomalies, using the alien-provided coordinates as guidance. The Predator followed indirectly, testing, but not striking immediately. The crew realized it was curious, perhaps even cautious, as if it recognized intelligence but did not yet understand the humans aboard the ship. Hours turned into tense navigation, as the Aegis gradually put distance between themselves and the Predator's path. Every system functioned at maximum efficiency. Every crew member performed at peak focus. They were humans relying on their skill, courage, and ingenuity to survive in a galaxy that had once destroyed others. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the Predator's energy signature faded from the sensors. The danger had passed, at least for the moment. The crew exhaled collectively, relief washing over them. Rian turned to his crew. We did it. Humanity has survived another step into the unknown. We have learned, adapted, and proven that our species can face threats far beyond what we imagined. Dr. Arlen smiled, exhaustion and joy mixing in his expression. And we have knowledge to bring home. This will change everything. Mira wiped sweat from her brow. Yes, but we still need to get back safely. Let's not celebrate too early. Jace leaned back in his chair, a grin finally breaking through his tension. We're alive. We're ahead of the Predator. And we've got a ship full of alien secrets. I'd say that's a good day. As the Aegis continued its journey back toward known space, the crew marveled at what they had experienced. They had followed a mysterious beacon to the heart of a lost civilization, faced a Predator beyond comprehension, and survived using nothing but their intelligence, teamwork, and courage. Orion's voice, calm and reassuring, summed up their achievement. Captain, crew, the data retrieved will allow humanity to advance exponentially in technology, navigation, and energy use. Your decisions, skill, and bravery ensured the survival of both this vessel and the knowledge it carries. Rian looked at his crew, pride and relief shining in his eyes. We are human. We survive because we think, because we work together, because we never give up in the face of the unknown. That is what makes us extraordinary. That is why we explore. The stars outside the viewing windows stretched endlessly, a reminder of the vastness of the galaxy and the adventures that awaited humanity. The Aegis, its systems now enhanced, carried not only the crew but also the hope and potential of a species willing to face the unknown. Dr. Arlen turned to Rian. "Captain, we have a choice. We can take this knowledge home and begin sharing it with humanity. Or we can continue exploring these sectors. Learning even more." Rian considered for a moment. "We explore, but carefully. We carry knowledge and hope back to humanity first. Then we return to the unknown. That is our duty. That is what makes us human." Mira smiled faintly, though her eyes remained sharp. "And next time, we'll be even more prepared. The galaxy is vast, and we are just beginning to scratch the surface." The Aegis moved forward steadily, leaving the remnants of the ancient structure behind. The beacon's pulse faded, but its influence remained in the ship's systems, a reminder of the connection between human curiosity and the mysteries of the cosmos. The crew settled into their journey home, hearts full of achievement and minds alive with possibilities. They had faced danger, discovered knowledge, and survived against odds that would have destroyed many others. Humanity's place in the galaxy was uncertain, but one thing was clear. With courage, intelligence, and unity, humans could overcome the unknown. As the ship drifted toward known space, Captain Rian Hale allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had survived its first real test in the uncharted sectors. They had proven their ingenuity, adaptability, and spirit. And somewhere in the stars, more mysteries waited. But for now, the crew of the Aegis carried with them not just alien knowledge, but the timeless truth that humans could face anything, endure everything, and rise above the challenges of the universe. The ship's engines hummed softly. The stars streaked past, and the crew felt a deep connection to the endless void. They were explorers, humans in the vast darkness, carrying the light of curiosity, courage, and hope. The galaxy was vast, and its secrets were many. But they were ready. Humanity had arrived, and they would continue to shine. And with that, the Aegis moved forward, toward home, toward discovery, and toward a future that no one could yet imagine.